a thought snack.
What do Bob Beckel, Judy Morlock, Rage After Storm, and Terry Free all have in common? They got fired for saying or doing something racist, or at least something that appeared racist. Now, this is not an examination of whether or not actual racism or racist actions occurred, but it's rather some thoughts on the firing aspect of such situations and the idea of consequences being linked to free speech. The truth is that I believe in free speech. You should be able to run down the hall screaming racial epithets if you want. However, no one is free from the consequences of that free speech, and one of the consequences is that those around you may no longer wish to associate with you. That includes your employer. In today's socially networked world, a company goes from being a really good store or a great university or a solid news outlet to being a place that employs a racist. This isn't entirely fair if we're honest. I mean, first of all, that word is used far too often and far too broad of a context. Maybe I'll talk about that more sometime, but the word has a lot of impact in today's world. The person may not be actually racist in some cases, maybe even in most cases, but it's a great epithet to use to slander someone in a social media-driven world. Second of all, an employee's personal beliefs probably have no bearing on how well they do their job. This is why employers aren't allowed to discriminate against workers for religious beliefs. But what a racist employee or a perceived racist employee does is tarnish the reputation of the business. It's not necessarily true or fair that people would believe that continued employment is an endorsement of a worker's beliefs, but this is the world we live in. Reputations tend to spread. They tend to leak over companies and people that just happen to be near each other. Companies today face Yelp, Google, Facebook reviews, backlash on Twitter, and the possibility that a bored hack from a glorified news blog will make something that goes viral, which could create a problem for a company. Companies and organizations have goals like making money, doing marketing, growing, making connections, and so on. Defending their employee for a real or imagined infraction off the clock is not in their budget of time or money. The consequences of losing such a battle are steep. If the label of racist transfers from the employee to the company spends time trying to remove that sticky racist label instead of spending their time on marketing, growth, and revenue. So their simple answer is this: get rid of the problem that's reflecting a bad image on the company that the owner has spent hours of blood, sweat, and tears on building. For the employee, their view is different. They're just exercising their freedom of speech. The problem is that they can't always keep this messy right from sticking to those around them, and like a balloon full of pudding, when it bursts, it creates quite a disaster. The only fix that I see for this at the moment is to be anonymous with one's riskier opinions. Because let's face it, people aren't going to want to brain up and decide that sandwich artists, network administrators, insurance adjusters, DJs, or sales staff might just be great at their job, regardless of their personal beliefs. I'm not sure the society is capable of believing that anymore. I hope this changes. I hope society grows a thicker skin and stops looking for infractions. I hope workers feel like they can be themselves without worrying about being publicly destroyed over unpopular opinions. I hope customers can realize that the image of a business depends on the quality of services or products and the beliefs of an owner, rather than the musings of a simple hourly employee. I hope that companies can again become about their business and commerce, rather than having to spend time and money on virtue signaling and advocating for social justice. In the meantime, it's probably wise to mitigate the risks of one's beliefs without self-censoring. There's always a risk involved with speaking freely, and this isn't a modern phenomenon. Oscar Wilde said that man is least himself when he talks in his own person. Give him a mask and he will tell you the truth. He said this in the 1800s, so it's not like this problem just emerged. Please understand, I'm not arguing that this reality is correct. I'm arguing that it is reality. There's a reason many of us are masked, because we feel it is more important to share the truths that we've found rather than to share our faces and throw ourselves at the mercy of those like Antifa or other SJW groups. Until freedom of speech is a highly championed value over feelings and subjective ideals, compartmentalization of one's beliefs and where one speaks such beliefs seems to be more than a bit of a necessity. Fortunately, the truth is truth, no matter who says it, and it can be accepted even if the speaker is wearing a mask.